You come into a world where you don't choose your job. It is a job chosen for you when you're born. And it's not something like being a doctor, a farmer, or even a candle maker. No, you are born into being a ninja. And the first task, even before you can walk, is to learn how to not leave any signs that you were there. That's right, your whole life revolves around disappearing. What do you get for doing a good job? Staying alive. No medals, no glories, just living to see another day. Exciting, isn't it? Well, get ready, because being a ninja wasn't just tough, it was downright miserable. First off, let's get one thing straight. The concept of ninjas in films and anime, all wrong. Life as a ninja is brutal. While the kids in neighboring villages are playing with wooden toys or learning poetry, you're being taught how to vanish into thin air. By the time you're old enough to carry a stick, you're already training in the essentials of ninja life: climbing walls, making poisons, sneaking into enemy territory, and crafting explosives. Oh, and staying completely calm while someone tries to stab you. This wasn't a weekend hobby, it was your daily life. The worst part is that your ninja training was not in some special school like Hogwarts. There were no fancy outfits and no great speeches from teachers. In fact, most ninjas were also farmers. You worked hard in rice fields or cut wood during the day, pretending to be just another simple villager. At night, you would sneak away to train in fighting skills. It was a tough double life. The skills of spying and staying alive and having to fit in so well that no one thought you were anything but an ordinary person. Let's talk about your job, okay? As a ninja, you were not just a fancy action hero. Your tasks were more like those of a spy, gathering information, causing trouble behind enemy lines, and sneaking into castles. Here's the catch: you had to succeed without being seen, leaving no evidence, and most importantly, without anyone even knowing you were there. And if you did it all flawlessly, it was attributed to your lord. If not, well, there really wasn't such a thing as failure. And if someone caught you in the act, then you took a knife or some other type of blade to kill yourself and keep the information private. Simple, right? Right? The actual equipment was quite unspectacular too. Don't mind those great Hollywood guns. You carried anything useful for a ninja that could not be easily noticed. Sometimes that meant using tools like a grappling hook or collapsible ladders. Other times it meant having tools that looked like everyday items, like eggshells filled with bright powders. And those shuriken, yes, they were real, but they weren't the main weapon. They were more like distractions, something you'd throw to confuse an enemy before escaping quickly. Speaking of quick escapes, one of your biggest problems was avoiding guard dogs. These furry medieval alarms were every ninja's nightmare. Their sharp senses and loud barks could ruin even the most carefully planned mission. The solution? Carry poison. Specifically seeds from the machine tree, which were laced with strychnine. Sprinkle some of that, and you've silenced the dog. But carrying poison was dangerous. It could just as easily kill you if you made a mistake. Life didn't get much easier, even when you weren't working on a mission. Your workplace was remote and rough in the mountains of Iga and Koka. The same rugged landscape that helped ninjas stay hidden also made survival hard. The forests and cliffs were as much a challenge as the people you were spying on. And when winter came, you'd better hope your training included staying warm with minimal supplies, because comfort wasn't in the budget. But what about food? A tough job like being a ninja should come with good meals, right? Wrong. Your diet was made for survival, not for flavor. Ninjas carried hyarogen, which were basically energy balls made of ginseng, plums, and walnuts. Nutritious, sure. Delicious, not so much. And that was on a good day. If you were on a long mission, you might have to gather herbs or use portable superfoods that worked better than they tasted. Another skill you needed to learn was disguise. This wasn't just a hobby, but a key way to survive. A ninja's best tool wasn't their sword or their poison, it was their skill to fit in. You might pretend to be a monk, a merchant, or a beggar to gather information. It wasn't about wearing costumes, but understanding how people talked, acted, and lived so well that no one suspected you didn't belong. And yes, it was exhausting. Your social life? It doesn't exist. Ninjas were not allowed to have close relationships. Why? Because having attachments makes you weak. One mistake, a loved one sharing your secret when stressed, and everything could fall apart. Even in ninja groups, keeping secrets was very important. Families might have practiced ninjutsu for many years, but the information was shared quietly and kept safe, like a government secret. And here's the big twist: after all that hard work and sacrifice, the world does not even remember you, right? The ninja story has become a mix of legends and Hollywood ideas. The famous black suits. Made up. Ninjas as lone fighters against samurai? Also false. In reality, most ninjas were samurai or worked for them. They were not rebels but loyal supporters who did the heavy work for feudal lords. The life of a ninja was about endurance. The Japanese word for ninja, shinabi, comes from the kanji that means endurance or perseverance. It was not about glory or fame but about surviving, serving, and staying hidden. And the biggest irony: ninjas, who spent their lives trying to remain invisible, is now iconic in pop culture, even if most of what we think we know is wrong. Let's talk about the mental challenges ninjas face every day. Imagine questioning everyone and everything around you all the time. Paranoia was not just part of the job, it was the job. Who is secretly trying to hurt you? Which friend is waiting for the right time to betray you? Relaxation was a foreign concept, because even the smallest mistake like leaving a clue could have deadly consequences. Life was like an endless game of trust, except the risks included death, shame, and maybe a poisoned rice ball. And the training. Oh my gosh, it was terrifying. You weren't just learning how to climb trees or disappear, you were learning to handle extreme pain. Running barefoot over sharp rocks. Better not wince. Holding your breath underwater for minutes. You had no choice but to endure. Ninjas even practiced seppuku drills, yes, simulated ritual suicide because getting caught was that serious. Think about that. Your training wasn't about winning, it was about preparing for every way failure could happen. What kind of job description starts with "be ready to die in horrible ways"? Oh, and remember those incredible ninja techniques like scaling walls and running faster than humanly possible. They weren't superpowers, they were survival skills honed through relentless practice. Want to climb a castle wall? Sure, but first you'll need to master climbing with hooks that could break any moment. Running across the water. That's not magic, it's a quick dash over floating wooden planks that might sink if you're not light enough. And those big jumps? They're not superhuman, they result from smart physics, endless practice, and a lot of risk if you mess up. And just when you think it can't get worse, there's the weather. Ninjas had no choice but to wait for nice weather to complete a mission. Rain, snow, and wind didn't matter. You needed to adjust. Ninjas used a special breathing technique called long breathing to stay alert and keep their bodies from going numb. Heavy rain. You had to find ways to protect your tools and avoid slipping off rooftops. Nature wasn't just a challenge, it was often as dangerous as your enemies. Let's change the subject for a moment and talk about how ninjas were not only fighters, but also clever scientists. They experimented with herbal medicines, explosives, and even early psychological tricks. The Bansen Shukai, an ancient ninja manual, is filled with recipes for poisons, cures, and substances to confuse an enemy's mind. One of their famous tricks was a drink that made someone, for lack of a better term, behave foolishly. The problem? If you made the drink wrong, you could end up poisoning yourself. Fun, right? As we close this view of ninja sadness, let's discuss the final blow: extinction. The Edo period brought peace to Japan, and ninjas weren't needed anymore. Skills that took years to master suddenly became useless. Some ninjas became bodyguards or police officers, but many disappeared, and their knowledge was lost over time. Today, when people think of ninjas, they think of action movies and comic books, not the cleverness, strength, and sacrifices that define them. It's like spending your whole life learning advanced science, and then only being remembered as the person who was really good at playing video games. And that's it. Being a ninja sounds cool, but in life it was a hard, unappreciated existence full of difficulties. The real story of the ninja shows how strong, disciplined, and selfless people can be. They were not superheroes, they were survivors. And that is, in its own way, much more impressive. Now, if you're feeling grateful that your life doesn't involve dodging guard dogs and suppressing your emotions 24/7, let me know in the comments. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button, because while ninjas might be gone, the stories of their insane, impossible lives will live on forever.